reviews, merchandise, news, rumors, and everything else. If you're a Metallica fan or just a metalhead, join our groups on social media at YouTube and Facebook at Podcast of the Beholder. Awesome. So, welcome to Podcast of the Beholder. I am Bill, and we're back with my good friend Chuck Hoskins. And it's been a while, I know, but hey, sometimes good things come to those who wait, right?
It's been a while. Life happens, and it's good to be back and good to be talking about Metallica. That's for sure.
That is most definitely a good thing.
Quite a bit has happened since our last podcast. We've got a brand new album that we're not talking about yet, but we're still digesting, and we're going to get to that sooner than later.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
It's a cool time to be a Metallica fan. What do you think about the whole no repeat weekend set list? Have you seen those?
Yeah, I have seen those, and the cool thing I've seen, like some of them, they're starting to play some songs they haven't played in a while too, and that's the cool thing about it.
Yeah, I see stuff like Orion, and it gets me so jealous when I see Orion and Cthulhu and some of those songs they're playing.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not going to get into the new album very much, but it's a cool concept. I wish more bands cared enough about their fans to do the no repeat stuff.
Yeah.
That's an amazing concept. Of course, Metallica can kind of do everything on a bigger scale than most people, so it's exciting times. Another side note: did you see that Maiden is doing Alexander the Great for the first time?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, on their new tour, I was watching a video last night. I'm like, man, I hope they release that live. I can't wait to hear that.
Nice.
So today we're going to review Hardwired. Oh, one more thing, you had showed me today on through Facebook Messenger about those cigars. Can you talk a little? I didn't look into that much. What do you know about the cigars?
I actually, where did I put that? Hold on just 1 second. I brought that over earlier. Or did I bring that over earlier? I must have left it at the house. Anyway, as far as I know, I don't know how long they've been out or anything, but apparently Metallica has blackened cigars out now. Because I get that cigar magazine from cigars.com, and I didn't even know it. And I was flipping through the back of it, and flipping through it, and I come to the back, and it was like blackened cigars. I was like, really? I didn't even know anything about it. But I guess it's like James Hetfield and the guys from this doing the whiskey, whatever it is like put them together or whatever. So.
I've been seeing videos of him like in the pit smoking cigars before the show.
Yeah.
Are you a cigar smoker?
Yeah, actually I am.
Okay. Well, I mean, it makes sense. You got the magazine, but yeah, that's kind of cool. That's something I've never really bought the. Have you ever bought the whiskey?
No, I haven't, but I've been planning on doing it. I just ain't got around to doing it yet, to be honest with you.
I'm not really an alcohol drinker. I don't really see them. I don't come across. I guess I don't go to the liquor store, but I don't come across like the. I've always wanted to buy a Maiden beer, and I've never came across one either.
Yeah.
So okay, so we're gonna do Hardwired. We're gonna do disc 1. We get a little lengthy on our discussions. 2016. Tell me about like the first time you heard this. What do you remember about it?
Actually, where was I at when I first heard this song? Actually, I was in college at the time. And funny thing about it was I was a radio DJ at the time at the college radio station. And my I had heard the song like I think I had heard it on like Metallica.com or something like that, or YouTube or something, because I knew that they were getting ready to come out with a new album, and but I don't think they had released a single yet at the time. And then I had heard it, and then one day my the guy that does like the song stuff, that does all the songs, putting the songs on the radio and everything, he calls me into the office. And he says, check out what we got. And we had just got the new single from Metallica, and it was Hardwired to Self-Destruct or whatever. And man, let me tell you what, man, I loved it, man. I thought the first song was just killer. And I knew right then from there actually that it was going to be a hell of an album.
Was it actually a physical or was it just a digital single?
I think it was a digital single, yeah.
Okay. Because that's one of the things I was going to bring up. Is this is the first Metallica album without any physical single releases, because they've all had some, either CDs or vinyls or cassettes, all the way up through, and that was a big part of like the Loads and the Blacks and Reload, and there was even plenty for Death Magnetic, but this is the first one with no physical singles. That's disappointing. Yeah. I miss those days.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
Now, did some of this album leak before the release date?
I'm not sure. I want to say yes, but then again, I could be wrong.
See, I can't remember whether. I'm kind of weird about this. I don't like to hear too many of the songs before the album comes out. I think one is good. I think even 2 is pushing it, but I'm not a fan of the 4. I feel like you're halfway into the album already when it's released. So I kind of backed off of those on the 72 Seasons. But I remember going and picking this up. Back then, you could find a physical release on at Best Buy on the day it was released. I remember going to pick it up and just playing it in the car and just being amazed how great it sounded.
Yeah.
Just the production is outstanding, and just so I say we dive right into it.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Hardwired. I listened to it several times today, and what a great tune. This was the go ahead single, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
It's weird that they picked a single with the word shit and fuck in it so much.
I know, right?
Like that's kind of the first thing I'm thinking of. It doesn't bother me, but I'm listening to it. I'm like, wow, who made the decision to make that their go ahead single? Kind of made me scratch my head on that one. Such a good short thrashy song. And I can't remember which one it was, but I was listening to it, and it reminds me of a riff on Repentless, and I can't remember which song it is. For the second part, I'll have to put that on, but it's got kind of a similar riff to that. But it's an outstanding way to start the album. It kind of almost has a Kill 'Em All vibe.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't sound like, and we'll get into that, it doesn't really sound like any other album.
Yeah.
So that's I love Hardwire. What's your thoughts on the opening track?
Oh, I loved it too. And I'm like you, I was surprised at, like you said, the song, because, with the language in it and everything, that they chose to start off with that song. But I think the reason why was just because it's just such an ass kicker, and it just comes off and it's like right in your face and everything. But I remember when I watched, it's funny because when I watched the video of it, the first thing that came to my mind was Sandman. How they had that kind of, the kind of flashy kind of, you really don't see the band, but it's flashing around and all that stuff. So it was it kind of made me think of Sandman when I seen the video and everything. And I was like, wow, that's kind of like really re-harkening back to the day or whatever it was. And I thought myself, honestly, now, people may want to jump on me for saying this, but I think this album could have been on something like, that song could have been on something like Kill 'Em All, or one of the first 3 records, I think, easily.
Well, yeah, obviously James' voice has matured. I mean, you know a difference between the Kill 'Em All James and the Hardwired James, but absolutely song wise, it could easily fit into the first couple.
Yep, no doubt.
So, track number 2, Atlas Rise. What are your thoughts?
Another good track. I like it. It's just it's another fast, upbeat tempo songs. I love the lyrics to it. It's just I don't know. I've got nothing bad I can say about it. I like the riffs in it. It just overall it's a good song. The only thing it's funny. I like this song, but it's not one of the ones that I play most often on this disc. It's funny, like, well, the one a little bit further down, one of the ones a little bit further down, I don't really play at all. But it's like one of those. I like the song and it's killer and does everything, but it's sort of like when I make a playlist. If I make just like a hardwired playlist, it's more a little bit further down the lineup from the songs off the first album, but it's still killer and I love it, and I ain't got nothing bad to say about it, really.
Okay. I'm a little bit more into it. I think it's catchy as all shit. That the riff I think is incredible. There's a few songs on here that's very metallic catchy, and I listen to it and I'm like, this is an excellent evolution of them. It doesn't sound like anything else, but it has all the elements that that I want. James sounds amazing. It's very commercial, but very satisfying to my metalhead needs, and I dig the crap out of it. You'll find that of the 6 tracks we're reviewing today, I'm crazy about 5 of them.
Okay.
And this is definitely one of the ones that I just enjoy a lot. I remember hearing it and being like, oh, well, I think that's my favorite. And then, a couple days later. And, wow, it's hard to believe that this has been out 7 years now.
Yeah.
And to me, it's aged very well.
Yeah.
And I think that there's elements of 72 Seasons that take to this album and also go more into the load and reload, and I'm happy with that direction. But this Metallica pocket of this album, I have no problem with. I think there's a few clunkers that we'll get to, but Atlas Rise to me is catchiness and everything I want in a Metallica song, so I dig it. So Now That We're Dead, Broken Record, I dig the crap out of it. That riff, once it kind of builds and then once it gets into it, freaking love it. It's so good. I love the build of the riff. Is this the one where they have the video where there's like an MMA fight or something going on?
No, that's Halo on Fire.
Okay. When there's a video for every song, I kind of get them mixed up.
Yeah. Yep.
But this one's so good. You're right on Halo. Now That We're Dead is just so good. The riff is great. The chorus is catchy. I kind of want to get those live Metallica CDs and try to get as many of the songs from this album live as I can. Because, I mean, I've seen all kinds of YouTube clips and stuff, and they sound amazing live, too.
Yeah.
They transfer very well. What's your thoughts on Now That We're Dead?
Oh, I love this song. It's one of my favorite songs off this album, actually, and off of this disc. And when I seen them play this live, now I don't know if they did this every show or not, but when I seen them in Jersey at MetLife Stadium, they brought out these big, I want to call them like, I don't know if they call them timbales or whatever it is, but they're big. They were like big, like single drums, and they all got down and started playing the whole like drum part of it. Lars, James, and everybody, and they was just doing like a big drum solo during the middle of the song or whatever it is, and it was just so damn cool. Like, and And I know, and a lot of people don't know this unless you're a wrestling fan. But when Undertaker did his last match at WrestleMania a couple years ago with AJ Styles, when he did that backyard match, this was the song he came out to when he was riding his motorcycle down the road. And so now every time I hear this song, I see that image of the Undertaker riding his Harley, you know, in his last match there at WrestleMania. So I mean, I just dig it. I think it's cool as hell.
You know, I forgot about that Undertaker tie-in. And yes, they did do that. As far as I know, they did it. I've seen a couple of videos of them doing that.
Yeah.
Every time they played it. And a side note, I actually saw David Lee Roth on the Skyscraper tour. And he had all of his bandmates out there, and they all 5 did some kind of like drum solo thing. Oh, so every time I see that, it reminds me of the David Lee Roth one too. So, did you to wrestling for a second? Did you see the Edge entrance with wasn't it South of Heaven that they did at the latest WrestleMania?
I think I did.
Yeah, he wrestled Finn Balor, and
yeah, okay, yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, they did South of Heaven, and it was so cool.
Yeah.
So, metal and wrestling mixed together, cool. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, Moth into Flame. I'll start it off. This is probably my favorite track on the album. Just it's so good. To me, what a 4 songs that just come out hitting that hard is just amazing to me. I think the production on this whole album is great. This song's so good. It's just so good. Do you remember seeing the was it the Grammys that they tried to do this with Lady Gaga?
Yeah. Yep.
And boy, James was pissed when his mic wasn't working.
Oh, I know, right?
I there's video clips of like the rehearsals the day before, and I didn't mind that. Tell me your thoughts on the song, and tell me what your thoughts of the duet was.
Well, first of all, the song is killer. It was like when I first heard this song, I was like, yeah, Metallica is definitely back with a vengeance on this one, and I just love the video, and I love you know, the song. It just has a killer riff. It's just killer altogether. I love the whole like the addicted to fame thing, you know, like a moth to a flame and all that stuff.
Right.
And I know James was talking about, I think this song was sort of kind of based around the death of Amy Winehouse, I think.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Not mistaken that. And when they did the song with Lady Gaga, at first I was kind of like, I don't know if they're going to pull that off. But then when they did it, I was like, man, that was pretty cool. But yeah, I was like that. I was like, man, they kept messing up James's audio, his vocals and stuff, man. I was like, what the hell's going on? And sometimes I would kind of wonder if that was actually, I mean, sometimes I kind of wonder if that was actually, they did that on purpose. But you know how you see things sometimes. But
well, sometimes stuff happens live. I know some of the metalheads didn't really dig it. To me, anytime you could have and introduce more people to your band, it's a smart thing. Obviously, not everybody listens to Lady Gaga and Metallica, so I think there's nothing wrong with doing that. That's kind of a Grammy thing where you put 2 people together that normally wouldn't go together. So I have no problem with that. Did you, a side note, did you see what they did with Miley Cyrus when they did Nothing Else Matters?
Yeah, I've seen that.
I did. I dug the crap out of that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, you know, and like I said, I'm not really a Miley Cyrus fan. And at first, because did you see the video that she done for
Yeah.
Nothing Else Matters? At first, I really didn't dig it. I don't know. I think it was just this thing that Miley Cyrus was doing it, and I was just like, I was like, yeah, I can't get into that. But the more I listened to it, the more I respected it. At least, you know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
she did try to like, put her little spin onto it, but keep it, as much as she could to the original, you know. And as much as I hate to say it, the video for it was kind of kick ass. And
Yeah.
when they did that actually live version of it, because I think it was on wasn't it on Howard Stern show they did that? I think.
It's been a while since I've watched it. I forget. That would make sense. Howard does some cool stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it was the Howard Stern, and I thought it was. I actually thought it was a good. They did a good job with it, and
Yeah.
So
So,
it turned out pretty good.
did you get into that album much? The Blacklist?
No, they were probably maybe like 3 or 4 songs on it that I kind of dug, and the rest of them was just kind of like I could have cared whether I heard them or not.
I thought about buying it when it came out, but like you said, I liked the Miley Cyrus one, and I liked Chris Stapleton's version of Nothing Else Matters.
Yeah.
And then I liked Volbeat. What did they do? Did they do Wherever I May Roam?
Maybe
Seems like it was Rome or Through the Never.
Okay.
But other than that, there wasn't anything I cared. I thought the way that they did the like 4 and 5 versions of one song was a little bit overwhelming, and they should have just picked the. I mean, again, they can go big. They're Metallica, but I thought that aspect of it was just a little overwhelming. I don't need 4 different covers of Sad But True.
Yeah, that's true.
But I digress a little bit. I'm curious to see what you think about this one, Dream No More.
I really don't dig this song, and it's not a bad song. It's just one of them things. It's just kind of like, okay, it's there. I mean, I'll listen to it if it's playing, but it's just not one of those songs. If I, was to put the CD in and like, because you can skip tracks. It's not one of them songs I would just go and play. I mean, it's. Do I hate the song? No. Do I think they could have put a better song in its place? Sure. But that's just my take to
it. Here's my thought. I think Dream No More suffers from the other songs around it, and I listened to it a couple times a day, and I'm like you said, there's nothing that I'm like, oh, I hate that riff. The chorus, You Turn to Stone. It's like, okay, it's like you said, I don't hate it. It's never came on me run to the phone to change it or flip it on the vinyl, but it's just the riff's solid enough, but there's nothing that brings me back to it.
Yeah.
And I'd say there's probably 3 or 4 songs on this album that I would usually do skip, and Dream No More is just one of them. Just doesn't, and I think some of it's just a high bar that we're used to. There's so many outstanding songs. And I think if you put this on another band, it could be one of their better ones, probably. Yeah. Or maybe if this would have been on, Death Magnetic and just been away from the other ones that were so good. I don't know. I just don't dig it. I want to. The subject, there's 2 of them that I was so excited to hear about, and the Dream No More is a song about Cthulhu again, and I'm like, okay, great. And then I was like, oh, there's a tribute to Lemmy on the, I was like, I was so excited for both of them,
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think they both missed. And this one just doesn't do anything for me. And it's not very memorable. I don't know. Maybe I've had 7 years to sit on it. It's just one of those songs I don't connect with.
Yeah. I totally agree with that.
So, Halo on Fire. We had kind of talked about the video before. This one, I really dig this song a lot. The only criticism I have is tempo and everything is very close to Atlas and Moth, and Now That We're Dead. They're very much in that same pocket for me.
Yeah.
Like I feel like almost if it came on, I'd be like, okay, which one of those songs? And I love it,
Yeah.
but I think it suffers a little bit from kind of sounding like those other ones a little bit. I love it. That's not a criticism, but I don't know. Kind of sounds very similar. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, truthfully, all right, this is probably my favorite song off the album. Okay.
Okay.
I love the song and I love the video. But truth be told, when I first heard this song, it almost layout for the song, how they done it, almost reminds me of what's that one off of Death Magnet? If Tomorrow dang it. If Tomorrow it's hold on.
You're thinking about Garth Brooks.
Yeah. The day that never comes. That's it.
Yeah.
It kind of the way it has that kind of comes in slow and then it kind of picks up and then all those kind of time changes. It almost kind of layout wise kind of reminds me of The Day That Never Comes. So when I first heard that, I was like, man, that's sort of kind of and see, I think there's like another song, and we'll get to that when we do 72 Seasons. There's a song off that kind of reminds me a little bit of dang it, I got it right here. Dang it, Now That We're Dead. It kind of has that kind of feel to it or whatever.
Yeah, I know the exact part because I remember when I started getting into it. I'm like, that's really cool, and every band does that.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, that song that kind of sounds like this.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yep.
Great riff, very catchy. I like the breakdown, how it kind of that. Yeah, it's really really cool song. Now, since we're a little ahead of schedule, what do you think about the criticism? And I've heard this about Metallica and Iron Maiden, a couple of my favorite bands that kind of push the envelope and do double disc. Would you rather have the 14 songs or whatever that's longer, or would you rather them trim the fat a little bit and do 11 or 12 and have a single disc?
Well, since we're going down that road and yet we haven't talked about the second disc yet. To me, honestly, this album could have got away with 8 or 9 tracks and would have been almost a perfect record.
I agree, but at the same time, and I listen to a lot of podcasts. I was listening to, God, which one was I listening to the other day? And they were talking about a song, and they just totally wrote it off. And I'm like, but I really love that song. So even though there's somebody out there that's really loves Dream No More.
Yeah.
So to me, I'd rather almost every disc be double disc. I'm always the guy that wants more. Give me 20 songs, I'll listen to the whatever I want.
Yeah.
So I love that the last 2 Maidens have been doubles.
Yeah.
And the last 2 Metallicas have.
Yep. No, wait a minute.
So is 72 on what? It's 72 on one disc or two?
Yeah, it's one disc.
Okay. Almost everything's a double album these days.
Yeah.
See, I bought it on CD, and I've never listened to it.
Yeah.
I opened up the monstrosity that is the CD cave.
Don't get me into that.
I've only listened to it on vinyl and Spotify.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we'll stop with that because I don't want to start thinking about the second disc. Let's go into the artwork. Show me. I didn't get my record out. I got just a CD here. What do you think of the artwork? And is the vinyl slightly different, right?
Yeah. Actually, okay. So here's the artwork for the 3-disc version. Okay.
Okay. That's what I have here for 3.
Yeah, and then here's the 2-disc version. I never opened it. Okay. And then here's the double vinyl. That's the cover for that. Actually, I really dig that cover for some reason because the face I think I like a little bit better on this one than I do that one. And then this one here, this is the box set version of it.
Okay.
Yep. So I think each one of them had like a different face on them.
That's really a kind of a cool concept. One, to just visually be able to tell them apart. Yeah. And I like that there's the slight difference between the 2 and the 3-disc version.
Yeah.
Is your 2-disc version, is that Jewel or Digi?
Digi.
Okay. I don't think they did any Jewel.
As far as I know, there's no Jewel K releases of this, and if they are, they in other countries, and I haven't seen one.
Yeah, like I know there's and I've just never spent the time or the money on. I always hated that Saint Anger was on a Digi, and I know that they're out there from other countries, and with Iced Earth, Framing and Crucible were only Digis, and I had to order them from other countries. And one, it took me so long to get it that I had forgot that I had even ordered it. There you go.
Yeah.
Did you? Does that have the country of? Does that have the country of origin on that? Or does it say?
Japan.
Okay.
The Japanese version.
So did that one come with the DVD?
I don't think it did. I think it was the single disc version.
I think that those were only the single disc. I remember when that came out, thinking how cool of an idea that was. Because in 2004, that was right around the time where people were starting to download stuff and CDs were starting to lose a little ground.
Yeah. Yep.
And I remember just really loving that DVD to see every song performed live. That was anyway. But yeah, I dig the. I mean, this isn't by any means my favorite. But I don't mind it. I guess I'm more used to it. Like you said, I like the 2-disc version a little bit more. I definitely prefer the pictures on the 72 seasons on the inside of that.
Yeah.
A lot more of them without all the weird effects and stuff.
Yep.
Do you remember?
Are you going to see them live on any of the shows this year?
There's none of them coming close enough for me.
Okay.
I think Chicago was the closest, and I wanted to, but I'm like, they're not the cheapest band to see.
Yeah.
And it was just not in the cards. It wasn't close enough. I've got a pretty stacked summer of concerts, so I was like, well, maybe next time. Or hopefully maybe there'll be another set of tour dates or something.
Yeah. Well, I know when I bought the tickets to go see them in Jersey, like this version I got right here because I never opened it, came when I bought the the tickets for the show, this was what come with it. Because I know like every concert ticket you bought, you got a free CD with it.
Huh. Seems like I remember hearing something about that, and I think that might have even been on Trunk. And he was talking about, I think, I could be wrong, I think maybe Bon Jovi did that. And they were talking about whether that should count as record sales or not, because that's pushing 20,000 a night.
Yeah.
If you're getting, So I remember there being a discussion, so I'm not surprised that happened.
Yeah.
Now, did you go online and buy the show that you were at on physical CD?
Yeah, I actually have it. It's the I don't have it up here that I think of, but I have it put up.
Okay. How cool are that? How cool is that they release shows like that? I've never seen. I think does Pearl Jam still do that, or did they just do that for a while?
I'm not really sure on that. I never really was a big Pearl Jam fan, so I can't really tell you.
I'm not either. I just remember, God, I can't even remember what tour cycle it was when they started doing that. I started seeing them pop up,
Yeah,
like at record stores and stuff. I'm like, that's kind of cool. I wish other bands would do that, but Metallica, Kiss did it. I think one tour where you could, but theirs was all like I think you pre-ordered it and then you picked it up after the show or something.
okay.
And that was right around 2004-ish. I think they did that. But seems like they were a lot more expensive, and it's much easier to just be able to order it at home. I bought several CDs from there.
Yep.
So we've covered the art. We've got a couple minutes. Do you want to? Are we going to save the bonus disc for the next episode?
We can if you want to. That'll make it what 10 or 11 tracks or something.
Yeah, well, the live stuff I don't think we really need to touch on a whole lot, but we can. I think anything extra is good. So we'll save that for next time. And then anybody watching, I promise we're going to get that episode 2 out a lot sooner than later.
Yeah.
We'll probably film that next week. I don't really want to get into overall thoughts yet. Anything else in the Metallica world that you want to touch on before we head out of here?
Not really. Not really. Other than just I'm going to say this, and sometimes I'm not usually like a big stickler when it comes to when Metallica does stuff. But sometimes I think when they do like album merchandise, some of the stuff I think they just kind of go like really like crazy over. Like I'll give you an example. Like some of the shirts they've come out for with the new album, I don't really care for. Right? It's almost kind of like, well, let's put something on a T-shirt and put it out. Kind of one of those things. Now there may be some people out there that dig that, and if that's your thing, cool. I'm not knocking somebody that wants to purchase a T-shirt that maybe had the cover from it for if darkness had a sun or whatever. If that's your thing, cool. It's no big. I just feel like sometimes I think they go like a little overboard with some of the stuff when they do some of the merchandise. They just like they put out so much stuff with that image on it or whatever it is, and it's just like I don't know, because I like the album. I think the music is great. Some of the artwork in the for the record is just kind of like, okay, it's like let's throw a dart at a dartboard and whatever it lands on, that's what we're going to put on the album, kind of thing. And I don't know. I don't want to get into that because that's another thing.
Right.
But that's the only issue that I have. I just think sometimes, and like And like with Hardwired, I know they did a lot of that too, which is like some of the, because if you see like the Distress Metallica logo and stuff like that, like there was some really cool stuff that they had come out with, and I was like, why do you always have to use that Distress logo when, you know what I'm saying? It was like, I just love the Metallica regular, give me the regular Metallica logo, and I'm just like stoked, you know.
Um, I see what you're saying. They went hard on the I call it striper Metallica. They went hard on the yellow and black, and I think some album covers are just going to always be more iconic. I remember one of the first T-shirts I got was the Justice. I remember buying it at a flea market in Kentucky in 1988, and it was the one with their faces. It wasn't even the album cover, and it was iconic, and I was just so happy to have it. And I think there's just some album covers that are going to always hit harder, or maybe we're older and just not more, like you said, there's probably a 16-year-old kid who's in love with that album that's buying that shirt somewhere and is feeling the same way I did when Justice came out.
Yep.
I remember I remember being very underwhelmed with the like the pre shirt that they had for the having it at the movie theaters.
Yeah.
It was just a basic. I forget what it was, but I'm like, I wouldn't pay $40 for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking, and that's something else we could talk about real quick before we head out. Did you hear about the Texas shows going to movie theaters?
No, I didn't.
And I don't have it in front of me, but there's two Texas shows coming up. I'm thinking it's August, and I had heard somewhere that both nights are going to be in theaters. And I'm like, now that's, to me, that sounded more. I didn't do the listening party movie ticket. They didn't have it close enough. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have it in 5 hours. I'm not going to, drive a half hour each way on a Thursday night. It just went in the cards for me. But this one I'm very interested in. A live show. I will probably be at that one. How about you? Is that something you would do, or?
I would consider doing it if you pay. I don't. Would you now? What kind of price would you pay for that? Would you pay theater pricing for that, or is it like?
Now, see, the last concert I did at a movie theater was I did the Kiss in Vegas one, and that one was about $14, but that was also about 5-6 years ago.
Okay.
So, I mean, everything's more expensive right now. You go to any mainstream theater on a Friday night, you're almost going to drop $15 a ticket.
Yeah.
So, I'm really surprised that now, and since we're kind of bitching about stuff and talking about stuff, do you remember the drive-in COVID thing?
I was just fixing to ask you about that.
Now, see, that one, me and my son was like, we heard it was coming to our drive-in, which is 20 minutes away. I'm like, let's go to that. I was expecting 20-25 a ticket.
Yeah.
And when there was a hundred something, what was it, $100 and something for a car? I'm like, I'm not paying that.
Yeah.
And my son's not even a huge Metallica fan, so I'm like, I didn't like that at all. I thought that was and I thought, well, maybe once the theaters open back up, they'll do that or do a DVD. And that I've never seen that surface. Have you?
No, that's what I was going to ask you, if you'd heard anything about that or anything, because, they did it. And then, like I said, it was like that. They did it a few, I think, drive-in theaters, and then you never heard anything else about it.
Do you think that DVDs are a dead market because Metallica hasn't had any live DVDs, and what's the last one they did? Was it the
The
videos?
last official one they did,
Or was it
I think it was
it was
Quebec Magnetic. I think.
probably Through the Never, right? The movie.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I don't know that I would really consider that kind of a live. It is, but it's not to a certain extent.
But the point I'm getting, and this is something where Maiden used to always do a live CD and DVD, but
Yeah.
their last one was CD only.
Yeah.
So
It was CD and vinyl.
it, yeah, audio
Yeah.
is DVDs something that bands are getting away from?
I think so, but I think it just depends. I think it just depends on like the market of what it is. Now, actually, come to think about it, I didn't think about it just till now, but actually, Symphony S&M 2 was the last
Yeah.
DVD version that
Okay.
they
So
released.
yeah, I mean, I forgot about that one.
Yeah,
Um, So, well, I guess it's not completely dead. I like the options, and I'm kind of weird. If there's a CD, DVD together, I prefer it being in two different boxes.
me too.
And I don't know why I prefer the standard DVD case, you
Yeah.
know, and I don't know why I just like it better that way.
Well, see, now I have like of that show. It's funny because of that show, I have the actual standalone DVD and I have the standalone Blu-ray. But actually, the standalone Blu-ray that I have actually came in the box set with the
Box set, yep.
vinyl. Yeah, and then I think it's the 3 disc version of the actual record or the CD, and I think it was a Blu-ray came out. I think is what it was.
We need to review that one also.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but okay, well, it's kind of a so yeah. Back to the Texas thing. I think anything 20 and around is fair. I thought
yeah,
that I thought the ticket price for the listening party was fair. It just wasn't my thing when it was so close to me having, Spotify. It was hitting at midnight, and I had two copies on the way. So,
yeah,
but this is something that now if I hear it's going to be released DVD wise, I might just hold off and get the DVD.
yeah,
I love the one Cunning Stunts. I've watched that 100 times.
yeah.
That was such a cool show in Texas.
I do think though. I do think Metallica for this tour at least. I think they should at least try to bring out at least a DVD of some shows or whatever because they're doing this no repeat weekend thing. So I think
Yeah.
it would be really cool. Even if they decided to do, if they decided to pick one show and be like, let's film this and be, because see,
Well,
here's the funny thing that gets me right. They already do. They already, and then this is what I had been thinking about. How they do kind of. I want to say they're not really official releases. I would say they're more like bootleg releases of the albums that Metallica does on their website or whatever it is.
right.
Why can't they do the same thing
With
and do
DVDs.
DVDs? You know what I'm saying? And then that way, if you want to go and buy it, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. And it's one of those things where it's made to order kind of like thing.
That's a good question. I think they should at least do one per like tour or year.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's 20 shows where it's pretty much the same set list, I don't know. I'm that person. I would much rather. I like live content a lot. I love live shows, and I'd much rather buy live shit, binge and purge. I'd much rather buy something official than pay sometimes even more for something that could be less quality and the band gets nothing.
Yeah.
So.
And speaking of one other thing too, and this is off the topic of Metallica, I know, but I had heard, and I don't know if this is true, I had heard somewhere that Megadeth was talking about releasing a DVD version of their Tokyo show
With Marty?
Yeah, with Marty Friedman.
I seen that on eBay. I'm sure it's just a burnt copy.
Yeah.
And I actually thought I didn't get to see that. Did you?
No, I didn't either. No.
I see. I don't like those streaming things where you pay because my phone's too small.
Yeah.
And I don't have the technology to. I don't know how to run it through my TV. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
So I don't always watch stuff like that. I would love for that to be officially released. And maybe one day it will. Maybe he's holding on to it. Megadeth. Let me bitch about Megadeth for a second.
Okay.
Why are some of their best albums you can't get them on vinyl? You can't get Euthanasia. You can't get Cryptic Writings. You can't get Countdown. If you want to buy those records on vinyl, it's going to cost you for an official version $200 or more.
Well, see, now here's the. Well, yeah, you're right. 1 minute.
Because there's picture disc versions of Countdown that's over $100, and over the last couple of years, there's been bootlegs of Countdown and Euthanasia, and they're marked on eBay as imports, but they're unofficial, and they still go over 100.
Yeah.
I just think that Dave's he just re-released like. His last vinyl bundle had, I forget which ones they were, but they were on the newer side. I'm like, why aren't you re-releasing Countdown and Euthanasia?
Yeah.
You know, people want that stuff. That's the biggest pet peeve I have, and Metallica are so good at not doing that. Your favorite band, a big band, you should be able to buy every album for under $50.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be one that they only released 200 copies of 14 years ago. That should be able, I mean, they always talk about physical product is dead. Well, make sure we have it.
Yeah.
Also. And like I said, Metallica, you could buy anything, any of their vinyls for $30, $40. They're perfect at that.
Yep.
And they keep releasing them. Yep. If you didn't get it the first time, here's a Walmart color. You know, they're excellent on that stuff. But bands need to keep up on those vinyl releases. There's so many bands that have like that 2 or 3 records sometimes that cost like $200, and that's just crazy.
Yeah.
You know.
And speaking of that too, like, do you think Metallica is going to set the standard now for box set re-releases?
Well, I've wondered that too, because they've done it, and I've seen and have a Kiss one that's similar, but see, the Kiss one was way down.
Yeah.
As far as like Kiss had a very cool book, and like duplicate flyers and stuff, and demos great, but they didn't. The live show is not nowhere near the amount that Metallica offers, and Kisses also doesn't put the vinyl in there. They make you get that separate.
Yeah. But
I think a lot of people like that whole box set and album thing, and I think Metallica has the high bar for that. Now, who's going to step it up? I mean, I don't know whether it's licensing or some of these albums, I know they've got concert footage and stuff. I don't know whether they just don't want to spend the money on it or what. Yep. But they've set the bar for it, and I know. And my only thing negative to say about those is I think they overdo the demos.
Yeah.
I don't need 16 different versions of Sad But True the first day they recorded it, the fourth day. I never listened to those ever. I've had them all. And I do not listen to any of them. The interviews is a nice, I love the interviews. I love the CDs, the live stuff, and the DVDs. I love all that. I think that for me, the demos are just something I'd totally skip.
You know what? I have an idea, and this would be cool. And if one day we just want to do an episode, and we're not really talking about like an album or something, maybe do some stuff that we do an episode of some stuff we would like to see released on, like whether it's vinyl or DVD or whatever it is, because there's like I'll give you an example. Like, I wonder if they're ever going to do a vinyl version of Live Shit, Binge and Purge. You know what I'm saying?
Kind of. They already have half of it because Seattle was released in the Justice box set.
Yeah.
San Diego is, and Mexico City is the other ones. Yeah. That's a good idea. There's certain things I would like to get. Probably the thing I would want the most, and I know you can get it out there, I just don't want to pay for it right now, is Beyond Magnetic. Is just stupid expensive.
Yeah.
They should have Walmarted that one.
Yeah. And hopefully maybe they will eventually.
Yeah, I hope there's that. And God, there was something else I was thinking just the other day. I don't know. Yeah, maybe some fantasy booking. We could do that for sure.
Yeah.
So, we're right about that hour time. So why don't we shut her down, and when we come back next week, we'll get into CD2, and then get into the our overall thoughts on the whole album and the final disc.
Okay, sounds good.
So, man, I enjoyed hanging out. It's good to be back. Yes. And I can't wait to go through the rest of them that we missed.
Yep.
So.
Yep. So I just want to say thank you guys for those people out here that watch. Thank you. And I know it's been a long time, but like I said, like we said at the beginning of it, life happens, things happen, and you time and everything. But I'm glad to see my good friend Chuck. I'm glad he's healthy.
Absolutely.
Glad he's, everything, he's, all that. And it's a pleasure all the time doing something with you. It's really cool. And,
absolutely.
We'll definitely, there'll be a part 2 of this, and we'll just keep going from here. And so rock out, guys. We love y'all, Metallica, and take it easy.
Hit like and subscribe, baby.
That's right.
So all right, we'll see you next time. Yep.